Newspapers this morning, the Mirror covers the incredible outpouring of support from people paying their last respects.
And then we're looking onto the Daily Express. We're always with you, ma'am. That's her 4 children.
The Guardian covers the scandal over plans by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to pay his respects to the Queen.
And the front page of the Time there, silence speaks volumes. And it certainly did, with a lovely picture there of the new Princess of Wales meeting the troops.
The Telegraph describes the royal outpouring of support to the Queen as devotion to duty. Let's go through those in a bit more detail then, shall we? Former Conservative advisor Claire Pearsall and political editor of the HuffPost UK, Kevin Schofield, are both here. Good morning. Kevin, to the Express, and looking at Harry and Andrew wearing their military uniforms at the request of the King.
Yeah, so last night, obviously we just said, was the vigil for the children, at which Andrew got to wear his military uniform. If you remember, up until now he's only worn morning suit, which has been quite noticeable.
Very much so. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that because he did fight in the Falklands War.
Well, yeah, quite. But obviously that's part of the arrangement of being effectively ostracised. So, and now tonight it's the 8 grandchildren will do the same, and Harry is being allowed to wear his uniform because, like Prince Andrew, he's had to wear morning suit up until now. Now this is the only occasion where he'll be allowed to do so.
Is he not doing so at the funeral?
No.
Oh, really?
No, apparently not. There's morning suit for him there as well because he's no longer a working royal. But the King has intervened at his mother's request. She wanted William and Harry to both be in their military uniforms for the vigil, so that's why he's wearing it tonight. Which again, is probably only fair because he did actually serve in Afghanistan, you know. So I think it's only right. I think it's sensible. Now it's been interpreted, is this a bit of an olive branch? You know, will this mean relations?
Or another chapter in his book?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what's in the book.
There are lots of columnists in today's newspapers saying, don't just delay the book, Harry, bin it. But he will have signed a deal. No, he won't sign it.
So.
It'll be big money.
A lot of money, yeah.
He'll have money to pay them off, though, surely.
No, I doubt it. Can you imagine the advance on that book? It'll be in the millions of dollars.
Absolutely. And they'll have banked it, I would have thought, and had it spent.
Claire, looking at the queue in the Daily Mail, a concern, should we say, that MPs are queue jumping, but it's not just MPs. It's a lot of staff in Westminster who've.
Yeah.
I mean, many of whom have been working 23-hour days, actually getting everything ready and right and clean for people to come, and they are, as a result, being given some access.
They are, and I don't think that anybody is complaining at the cleaners and the catering staff and people like that who have been given this privileged access. The row has come up because there are different pass activities going on. So grey pass holders, which are these people that we're talking about, get the access. MPs with their stripy passes and lords. MP staff, nothing.
So if you're a researcher to one of the MPs...
If you're a researcher or if you're a member of MP staff who has been there for 20, 30 years, you don't get any kind of access whatsoever. Now, I know there's going to be very little sympathy for them because MPs being given the right to queue jump has caused great anger amongst the public, and quite rightly so. But it just seems a little unfair that the House of Commons has come down and said, these pass holders are fine and these ones aren't. And I think there are around about 2,000 MP staff on the estate itself.
But there's a lot of MP staff, as you well know. The MPs, you know, they get 4 tickets and they're saying, well, I may take my wife, whatever, but actually I am then going to take members of the staff as well.
And there are some very, very decent members who have offered that and have done that. But I think there was a problem earlier in the week where you'd had to submit names of people that you were taking with you. So MPs who then said, I'm not going to take my sister or my child, I'm going to actually take my staff member. There was a real problem with security and changing it round, but that's now been sorted. But I think amongst MP staff, it's brought up the whole issue of they're not appreciated, they don't have the same rights as anybody else on the estate, even though they work there. They don't have the access to any HR functions that most companies offer. They don't have that kind of protection, as we've seen through the scandals throughout the year. And this is just another sort of nail in that particular coffin, to use a very bad pun, that states that they don't have.
But this is all down to Black Rod, isn't it? Black Rod controls who has a pass for this event.
And where do you draw the line?
I appreciate that, and as I say, this is not an easy one to bring up, and I know there'll be no sympathy, but I do wonder why all pass holders weren't treated in the same way. I think if you'd done that, if you'd sort of said nobody gets priority access, then fair enough, because you can get more members of the public through, and if anybody wishes to do it, they can queue. But I think this kind of 2-3-tier system that they're running at the moment is just angering people at a time where people are working incredibly hard. And as you say, those people that are making sure the palace is clean, making sure Westminster Hall looks absolutely spot on and beautiful, and the security arrangements work perfectly, they really do need some access. But you can't have it all ways, and I think that you need to treat it as an organisation as a whole, and not just pick off some pass holders and say, actually, you're not worthy.
That's interesting.
When you think of the people who are now queuing, who are probably going to wait 25 hours, you can see why there's a level of concern over this, can't you?
Yeah, you absolutely can. And I don't think anybody should be given priority access at all.
Not even MPs?
Not even MPs. I really don't. I think that actually, if they want to go and show their respects and pay their respects, then they've had an opportunity. Most of them were at the address.
Not even Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand.
I don't think so. I really don't. I feel quite strongly that...
She will be at the funeral.
Well, she's going to be at the funeral, isn't she?
And they have their opportunities to do so.
This is for the people.
Yeah. And I really think that none of this should have VIP access.
Oh, you see, now that's interesting, because I wasn't in agreement with that line of thinking necessarily up until now. You've changed my mind.
If I'd known an MP well enough yesterday, I'd have been on the phone saying, "Can you get me in?" But now I feel exactly the same. I feel, no, this is for the people, and maybe for everybody who has faced that long queue. We all ought to do it or not. That's the decision, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. I do. Well, look, thank you both. Claire, Kevin, we'll catch up with you a little bit later on.